Hi, Paul Bedford here from Retention Guru. And in this clip, originally filmed at the end of 2023, I talked to Jack from Les Mills about what we're seeing in the data in terms of lifetime value of members and how that's changed pre and post pandemic. Now, I have talked about this elsewhere, but it's worth looking at it, and I think it's worth paying attention to, because if there is a hole in your income and you can't work out why, it could be because they're not staying as long. Now, if you've got any questions or comments, please put them in the box down below. Alternatively, you can email me at paul@retentionguru.co.uk and I'll be happy to get back to you. For now, enjoy the clip and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care. Bye.
You mentioned before another of probably the biggest legacy of the pandemic and lockdowns was the rise of digital fitness. And seemingly that isn't going to go anywhere now. People do like the convenience and the scalability of being able to work out at home as well as in facilities. Does that mean that operators should be taking a different approach now when it comes to measuring member engagement and the touch points that they have with their members?
I think the answer to that is yes. I think there's a big challenge though, because I don't think a lot of operators even know what their members are doing when they're in their clubs, let alone what they're doing in their lives to add to that. And this concept of share of wallet, where someone might be doing some digital workouts, you know, streaming something, they might be going to a club, they might be out walking. I know, and I've spoken about it previously, I'm one of those consumers. You know, I have a spinning bike at home that I use and I follow online programs for that. I also I go onto YouTube to do yoga because I do yoga by the pose rather than as a sequence.
Right.
But I still go to the gym to lift. But I think I think you dismiss digital at your peril, because I know some operators are saying, well, I've never had anybody come into my club and say, oh, what's your digital offering? And my thoughts there are no, because if they want a digital offering, they might have already decided to get that from somewhere else. They might have already gone, well, we're going to take Les Mills I'm going to do the Les Mills classes as my digital, but I'm going to go to the club and see what the club have got on offer as the club offering. So just because they're not asking for it doesn't mean they're not consuming it. They just may not see that the operator is the person to best do that. And you know, I think during COVID and the lockdowns, we could get away with, you know, we could rely on members knowing the instructor and forgiving quality, but now they're looking at high quality production values and high quality content. And it's either, if you haven't got that, I need to know the instructor. It's more of a personal thing. And I think that skips the clubs completely. You know, it's either big corporate streaming or it's the individual instructor. I don't think it has anything to do with the clubs, even though the clubs might be the facilitator of the content.
There's an acquisition and a retention element to it as well, isn't there? So if you're a club and you do have a digital offering, whether you work with a partner or whether you do it yourself, you then got the opportunity to reach a whole wider audience that you could then engage with and hopefully inspire to move into the club and graduate into that live environment. And then from a retention perspective, if you're a member already, if you haven't got a digital option from your club, then you might go onto YouTube and look at this and that, or head turned by other things. So, you know,
look, Jack, we've certainly got data from the first year post-pandemic from a major operator in the US that had a variety of different offerings, and one of them included an online offering as part of the package of membership. Now, within that, we were able to show that to the operator that the people who had that stayed longer. Now, if you actually looked at the amount of usage, the usage was actually quite low, but the ones who used it stayed the longest. But it was difficult to sort of really say it was one thing or another. But we were looking at, you know, if it's available, are people using it? Yes, but not as many as the club would have liked, seeing as they were providing it. But the ones who were using it were staying longer. So it's that dilemma of, you know, there's a big investment. If you want to do that yourself, if you want to provide the online content yourself, there's a big investment. And you've got to be coming up with content all the time. If you choose to go with a digital partner, then you at least know you've got the quality of content and it's something you haven't got to worry about, because you know, I mean, in the politest of ways, you've outsourced it. You know, you've outsourced the production, the choreography, everything. But it's certainly something I think multi-site operators need to have. Smaller independents, probably less of. But if you're a chain or a multi-site operator, I'd certainly be looking at packages. But then you've got to test and measure to see if people are actually using it. Because if they're not using it, then they're not using it.